Good morning. Greeting to you. This is Angelo coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. We thought we have some things to share with you about the world on edge of the war, possible war, world war. As we have saw, Turkey and Middle East. It is incredible that our president have announced unilateral withdrawal from Syria, from eastern North Syria, off of the Euphrates River. It's incredible. It's the shifting policy in such a fast pace that it's very hard to. Really, it's very fast. What's going to happen? What can happen? How it can happen? And who's in charge? What's the strategy of pull out? Who's going to pull out? Where are we pulling out to? How are we going to fill the gap? Who's filling the gap? Is the Turkey really up to fighting 60,000 Kurdish Syrian fighters? You might as well say those are seasoned fighters. Those are not pushover now. And the weapons that we have supplied to them are second to none. So Turkey has an opponent, a serious opponent, a military opponent. And I'm not so sure that the Turkish military or advisors to the President Erdogan have advised him right. This endeavor that Turkey is taking right now, and this endeavor that U.S. political filthy dirt that U.S. is throwing out on Turkey right now, actually in the last 70 years, finally is giving a birth to the disaster that's going to happen to Turkey from this. This going to lead to a breakup of Turkey. Very easy. And this going to lead to the creation of Kurdistan. And this going to lead to the major war through Middle East. And this will tear up the Syria apart. It will never be one country, and Iraq will never be one country. The Sunni will go on one way, Kurds will go on the other way, and Shia will go on the other way, and Assad cronies will go on the other way. They will take what's good from Syria and what's worth it anything in Syria, and as they have already, land-wise, and perhaps everybody will live happily ever after the wars. Finally, the Western politic have succeeded. The Western colonial politic have succeeded to divide and conquer. They have done that for 600 years. Not through Middle East for 600 years, but through Asia and through the Pacific Islands and through many other parts of the country. The wars between each other. Now it seems like They're running out of territory, and this will be the place from Syria, from Algeria, Nigeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Sudan, South Sudan, Chad, Ethiopia, Somalia, Eritrea, Yemen, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, on the verge of total collapse and chaos, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran is no better off, Afghanistan. Wow. In the Western world, Russia is holding an, I will say, grenade on their hand. It's a grenade with a pin pulled out, and they're just waiting to see if somebody from this so-called good democratic Western world step in on their territory so they can toss the grenade. And there will be astronomical casualties with that little grenade, okay? Folks, in Iraq, 6 million people, $6 billion, $6.5 billion a month for 15 years has been made. And not a single power plant, not a single sewer processing plant, not a single pipeline of the water delivery, not a single pipeline distribution center for the water for the city, not a single infrastructure or a university or a colleges have been built. $6.5 billion a month of that money has been stolen for 15 years, and you figure it out. And that's a month, 6.5 billion in oil revenue have been stolen. Where is that money going? Well, let's not exaggerate, okay? Or let's not be stupid about it. That money is going to the big corporation, to money laundering groups and companies through the Western Europe, from UK to France to Sweden to Italy to Germany to Austria to Spain, all those countries. And UK is right on the front line. In Libya, the same. Only thing that I will say, that this crisis and this announcement that US have President Trump have made yesterday, this will bring nothing but disaster. And Turkey have not thought of this. There are so many people they're talking about the future of this part of the world. Here is the future of that part of the world. In the last 3 days, people in Iraq, southern Iraq, and those are Shias, 99%, excuse me. They were demonstrating for the jobs, and they are sick and tired walking in a sewer through the streets of Basra, where 7 million people live in Baghdad and Basra. 6 to 7 million people in each of those cities. And there is a sewer and garbage everywhere. And there is no job. 60% of the young people are unemployed. Hundreds or thousands of people have been shot, and hundreds or more than 1,000 people have been killed. And that's no joke. So-called democracy. This is not just immoral. This is not human. And these people, they run these countries. As I said at the beginning, you divide and you conquer. Since the war was over in Iraq, and since ISIS was defeated in Iraq, there hasn't been no progress. Every single government official is crooked, is cheater, and a liar, and an oppressor. There is not a single country over there in that part of the world. There is not a single man in a government that deserves to hold the responsibility for the citizens of that part of the world, Middle East. More than 14 countries altogether that I have mentioned. And then we may move to the Black Sea. There is not a single country over there in that Black Sea that bordering from Romania to Bulgaria, to Ukraine, to Moldova, to Georgia, to Armenia, to Azerbaijan, to Turkmenistan. All of those countries are oppressive regimes, folks. If you think your world is safe, think again. And then the United Nations is going again, talking crap. And they're saying, okay, we are warning Turkey to be careful, not to do anything in Syria. In a 500-long border of Syria, there is a 60,000 or perhaps even 100,000 armed men to the teeth. That means harm to Turkey, Turkish state, and Turkish people. This is not going to end good, folks. I mean, this is not going to end good. With 100,000 men, you can do a lot of damage, especially organized and well-trained army. That is a regular army and well-professional trained army, and they have become a seasoned soldier fighting one of most evil group of people that have risen in recent times on a planet since Hans, killing and burning and raping and pillaging everything in front of them. Those were ISIS. Listen, folks, I think I have a good idea what's going to happen here. I really, as I said at the beginning, this is not going to end good. United States pulling out, asking Europeans to come in, France and England, and European and France and England and rest of the European, Western Europe. The only way they will come in if United States is leading, or now United States is now out if Israel leads, so they can freaking cash in Okay? It's only to cash in, but they got no balls to fight. At least not these days. Because seems like everybody has a freaking gun now. Everybody somehow can fight back. It's incredible. It's just incredible what have happened yesterday in Iraq. And a green zone in Baghdad, 7 million people city. There were more than 1,000 people there. There were more than 2,000 or 3,000 people wounded, and your news media is freaking lying. It's really, really, really incredible. Really incredible. What will United States do? How United States will react when hundreds of thousands of people, 500,000 people, are moving from 500 northwestern border, from western part of the Mediterranean all the way up to Euphrates River and to the border of Iraq. Most of those people are Kurdish, 80%. Where are all those people going to go when the shooting starts? And the Kurds are not going to lay down and die and surrender. They're going to fight. This is the only chance they have to unite the Iraqi Kurdistan with the Syrian Kurdistan and a Turkish Kurdistan and possibly Iran Kurdistan. There is a 28 million people in that vicinity. And that area is rich with the mineral resources, with energy resources. And they are not about to give it up. They will fight to death. And I'm afraid that we're going to be going back sooner than later. And then it will be a so-called NATO country fighting a NATO country, and that will be the Turkey is fighting on one side to try to survive like it did during the Great War, when the European powers tried to invade Turkey, when the Turkey collapsed as an Ottoman Empire, and they tried to break it up apart. Everybody wanted a peace, from UK to France to England to Germany to Austria to you name it, to Russia, everybody. Although it happened that Turkey survived, and they had a leader and a visionary who mobilized the people, and they fought, and they believe in their country, and we know what happened. Now, from 1950s or 56, US and Turkey have a pact. US have a major military Air Force base over there, has a nuclear tactical weapons over there in Turkey, Turkish Peninsula, and Turkey was a backbone, a spine, a backbone of front line for the NATO against Russia as the Soviet Union. And Iran and Turkey played a major role in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Iran always to the revolution, and Turkey always even to today. Here we are, folks. We have abused Turkey in every possible way. We have used the Turkey as a porter in the building, wiping up the stairs or floors or mopping up the kitchen in a restaurant, or this is what we have done in the west of the Turkey. No respect. I will use the terminology one of the comedians here in the United States. We have late Danny Rangerfield. He used to say in a red tie, I used to say, I get no respect because of my tie, red tie. I get no respect. Well, Turkey has been complaining that she's not getting any respect at all for years. Although, how can you get respect when you've been portrayed and looked down as nothing, as a country that is not advanced, as a country that is not educated, as a country that is backward, as a country that is portrayed that is a part of Middle East, which is not, country that is Arab, which is not, geography has been taught to the Western people in the United States as lie. And it's one of those things when it's repeated so many times, people start to believe, and now it's very hard to wipe that thing out. And it's very hard to convince anybody here in the Western world, people who can't even find, let's say, like in my United States of America, you can go on the whole 50 states plus territories and ask anybody, and every 1,000 people will tell you, oh yeah, I know. But 999 people will tell you they have no idea that is the truth, and that's mean this, that Turkey is a cradle of civilization. It's a rich with education, with science, with medicine, with history, with the literature, with I mean, for God's sake, let's just say that Turkey is the motherland of the civilization. The very first piece of bread that is cooked from wheat, it was cooked over there and was ground over there in Anatolia. And the very first stone and a building that was built from the stone and a plaster, it was built right over there. And perhaps even very first kitchen that was made over there, and very first pipe to deliver the water in the house and a bathtub, and the very first ceramic pots for cooking were built and created over there before the bronze. Shame on the Western world. I agree with the President Trump that we shouldn't be there. We had no business being over there. And I want to correct Mr. Trump. We did not defeat ISIS. I hate to say this, Mr. President. It was Russians and the Turks and Hezbollah and those murderous army of Syria who defeated the ISIS. Not because they wanted to defeat the ISIS, Mr. President, because they want to save their own skin. That's where they fought so hard. Even that couldn't save them if Russia didn't get involved in it. Nothing would save him, neither Iran, neither US, neither Kurds, neither Turks, without Russian Air Force and Russian special advisors. You would have in Syria today Caliphate state, Islamic State of terrorists, full of chemical weapons. The Sadat Hafiz Syrian president and Syrian military have abandoned. And we be in more trouble than we are. Now there is a hope. At least there is a possible hope of peace and tranquility in years to come. But that will only happen if we try to spare the Turkey from bleeding. And we have led Turkey today to take over a time bomb that no one can defuse. No one but United States and Russia. If they get together, they can defuse that. That means disarm Kurds, promise them autonomy, full autonomy to govern themselves as they wish, and dismantle their army. Just as I have proposed for Palestinians in Israel. Full autonomy or integration as a state, as a two-state in confederation with Israel, and one federal government, like we have in the United States or in England, UK, or in Sweden, Switzerland. Or perhaps what happened last war, former Yugoslavia, that's happened in Bosnia. Two-state, one solution, Bosnia and Herzegovina, one federal republic, one Srpska Republika, but one government, one federal government that overlooks international affairs, not the domestic affairs. But the defense of the country is one, a federal government overlook. And it's in control. And that's their responsibility. So much chaos, so much problem. I'm not even sure that this is solvable without bloodshed. And we will go from Iraq. Just remember, every month, $6.5 billion revenue from oil. Nothing has been built for people. Not a dime is spent on the civil services of the people, for education, or for food, or for anything. Not in a soup line. Peru, one of the probably second to none corrupt government and rich in resources, but has suppressed the people and never give them a chance for people to see a day of light to get an education. Honduras, same thing as Peru, oppression, oppressed, uneducated. Guatemala, the same as hemisphere, South and Central America, Colombia, Argentina, land of milk and honey, supposed to be. Corruption have destroyed every possible chance for those people to have a dignity. Brazil, you have a neocon, an African Nazi, a fascist in a government right now. Hundreds of people are getting killed. Hundreds of people getting... hello, my friend. Thank you for... Hundreds killed, hundreds of people being arrested, and there is ecological disaster. The government is burning a natural Amazon, and we are in trouble. If you have a children or you think having children, you should be afraid. It's incredible. I'm overwhelmed sometimes, but I cannot let my emotion come over. I need to be a collective, and that's the only way that I can relate my message to you folks, and tell you and ask you, please let your voice be heard. Let your friends know that we are there and that people are there and people care. And we all should care. We all should keep our politicians and our world politicians accountable for everything they do. Here, one more example, folks. Now in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and all through the Persian Gulf states, actually all of North Africa, from South Africa, from Namibia, from Indian Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean. If you're not familiar with the world map, just Google it out and look what I'm saying. From Namibia, Zaire, and Congo, and all the way up, all the way down to the Indian Ocean Strait, and go up north. Every single country is in a chaos. Every single country is oppressive government. Every single country has the leaders that have robbed and oppressed and killed and abused their citizens, folks. And you don't know which one is more corrupt. You cannot scale them. There is no scale that you can scale these people or these cronies, how far they have gone and how far they are out of order or out of line by stealing. For example, just go to Nigeria, go to Algeria, go to Morocco, go to Egypt, go to Saudi Arabia, Sudan, South Sudan, go to Ethiopia. All of those little small states over there on a in a Horn of Africa, Somalia, inside the Horn, where it's connecting Indian Ocean, connecting with the Red Sea. All those little states used to be Italian colonies years ago in the 30s, 20s and 30s. All of those countries, folks, have natural resources that they can feed the world with. Yet, the world is the people are hungry, people are starving, people are dying in a canoes and in a boats, trying to escape the poverty and oppression and killing and everything that is not human have been done to those people. Libya, my God, That is one of the most corrupt states right now. Libya, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait. Syria, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Georgia and Armenia, Ukraine, folks, have stole from their people, Ukraine, from all the countries. Iraq and Ukraine have, Iraqi government and Ukrainian government have stolen more money from their people and taken overseas that money. God knows, to the Swiss bank, as I said earlier, to Deutsche Bank, to French banks, National French Bank, to the Lloyd of London in England, to the Switzerland, to you. I mean, anywhere in the Western world, that money, you can trace the Ukrainian and Iraqi money. Ukrainian from natural gas and the taxes from the poor people taxes, and Iraqi money from the revenue of the oil. $6.5 billion of U.S. Control oil sale, because we control that oil of sale, but seems like we control through the companies the revenue. I said before, and I'm repeating myself like a canary, not a single dollar from the oil revenue has been spent to better the life of people in this part of the world. In Egypt, since Sisi came on power, there is a 60,000 people in the prisons, political prisons. I'm not saying that Morsi was any better. Although what I'm trying really to relate to all of you guys, it's 1918, 1917, 1920s, and 1936. It's coming. Europe was in this kind of chaos then, when Middle East was in peace and tranquility. Don't. Elizabeth, I'm afraid I have to ask you something. You seems like a lady who has a healthy attitude about the life, and healthy attitude about the world, and understand what's going on in the world. Don't let the troublesome world stop you from having a child. Okay, you deserve to have that on you. As a woman, you deserve to feel that motherhood. And somehow I feel that you would be a good mother, and please don't let these troublesome times in the world stop you from doing that. I have always said the last word, the good of human men will have a last word. And even that our show today is our program today is it's It's bleak and has not much good to say, except if I was going to lie. Our country is in a chaos. I remember President Nixon was going through the impeachment. He was not popular from the both party, regardless, Democrats or Republicans or independent. So there was no division on a country on that ideological or political way, and the country was not in crisis to perhaps go on any kind of civil disobedience or massive strikes or anything like that. They just wanted to get rid of the Nixon, and that was it. As I even wrote about the President Nixon, I will just pick up something for a second so I can introduce you to it. I wrote about President Nixon in this book of mine. It's called Blood on Montenegro. And it's close to 500 pages. Talks about my life and coming to America. Talks about my life in America and people that I have met, and talks about the President Nixon when I met him. I met him about a year after I came in the States. And the man on the back that you see behind me in the picture, I have always said he was my president, and we have a right to defend ourselves after 9/11, and we should defend ourselves, but the way we did it, we didn't do it right. We killed so many innocent people, and we didn't accomplish anything. That's all we did, kill innocent people. And me being involved in that war, and a Yugoslavian war and Rwandan war all through Africa and through Yugoslavia for 9.5 years, and Iraq and Afghanistan, and as one of the advisors to our naval intelligence. This letter right here is from President Bush, directly acknowledging me and my hard work and my work. Although I didn't need that, neither did I ask for it. It was my duty to defend. It was my duty to do whatever I have to do, and whatever I can do to protect our country, to protect our people, to make sure that when you go to sleep, that you woke up healthy and well next day. I'm just thinking that in Afghanistan we invested so much money, so much time, so much blood. And the government that we have is corrupt to the core. You can't even find the roots how deep they are. And we installed that government. And we can dismantle it. But we are not doing it. Because major corporation wants to cash in, and they cash in, and there is a matter of billions of dollars in mineral resources, trillions of dollars in mineral resources. Don't you know in the next 20 years you won't be able to have a cellular phone without having a control in Afghanistan to mine those sources for your cellular phone and for your computer screen and for your chips and in your computers and stuff like that, and your cell phones and many other things. And we say the oil. All the oils are different, crude oil, folks. There is a heavy oil, there is a light oil, there is a gold oil, there is a black oil, there is so many different. Even Cyrus the Great of Persia, which is Iran now, they use the black tar. That's one of the source of the oil too, folks. All of these things need processing. And everything that you wear, or an aspirin that you drink, or a clothes that you wear, synthetic, glasses that you have, they all have one of those, or a part of that of that mineral from oil. So when people say you don't need oil, I don't need oil, or we don't need that oil, or Canadian shell oil, or great sand oil from Canada and stuff like that, or a Venezuela heavy oil that can be only processed in the United States, in Houston. And I need the crude oil. It needs the light crude oil, let's say from Mexico or United States or Canada, to mix it, to process it. So you see, folks, the world is so integrated. Now Saudi Arabia, because we, the United States and Canada, have now a second largest deposits of oil and a natural gas. Natural gas is replaceable, not in a billion or trillion or millions of years. Natural gas is replaceable as we are speaking. Because the earth processes things just like a manure does, the horse manure or cow manure. All the things that go, sediments, they go down on the ground, on the sea. And all the leaves and trees and grass and the bodies and the fish and everything that die. But oil get replenished probably, and not probably, but that thing get replenished again naturally in the millions of billions of years. So nothing that we are taking out from the ground will ever be depleted completely. So rest assured that your energy source, at least for this amount of people that we have now on the planet, is sufficient enough to keep it going and healthy. Very healthy. Yet, some people are thinking right, and some people are thinking stupid. Like, let's say Saudi Arabia, UK, Germany, and US and France are selling the guns to Saudi Arabia. We are thinking right. You know why right? And way? Because it's a business and they are selling guns to them, and we thought they will never be able to use it, neither they will know how to use it. Of course, they don't know how to use it, let's say, on a sophisticated country, but there is nobody sophisticated in their neighborhood except Israel. And they are there to do anything with Israel. Now, in fact, they are all of those countries, Persian Gulf countries, including Saudi Arabia and Egypt and Jordan, and soon will be Iraq and Syria and Lebanon. They were all coming under the umbrella of Israel. You know why? Because there is the education. Israel has a knowledge a bonanza of knowledge how to create the good and prosperous life, because they have done that since 1948. Of course, they couldn't do that by themselves. They done it through United States and Canada. They done it through Europe, Western Europe, from Austria to Germany to England to Switzerland to France. To all the Dutch countries in northwestern Europe. They pound on their door every single day, every single night for damages from the World War II. My father then got damages, and all our family was wiped out by the Germans. 6 million Russians or 10 million Russians died during the World War II. Nobody ever got a compensation. Million people of our soldiers died. Nobody got a compensation. Jewish people were smart, and they got the compensation. And they were smart enough to invest that money in the right places. Education, education, and education. And that education, that those tables, that those kids and those people, elderly, young and old, were sitting in those chairs. They didn't waste time. They learned Hebrew. They learned English. They learned Russian. They brought the languages from every part of the world. They never walked away from them. They utilized all the experience and all knowledge. They utilized that in their economy, and their politics, and in their military. And it's hard to beat a man like that. No wonder when people say like this, oh, Israeli army is invincible. It's not because they're invincible, okay? They are humans like you and me. They bleed the same. They are capable just putting 2 and 2 together better than you and I. Their math is better, okay? Their calculation is better. Let's say like in old days, Chinese had that calculator with the black and silver wooden bolts in a wires. We had that at the school when I was a kid. My sister used to challenge the whole class. They can figure out one mediocre, non-complicated, math calculation, and she will take the most complicated one in the millions. She would do that in a matter of seconds. Relax, and we in a classroom, rest of us in a classroom, take us half an hour to figure out, and most of them were wrong. So Arabs, for 50 years, they have used the Palestinians as a guinea pigs so they can tell their people that Israel is the enemy and Israel is oppressing Palestinian people, and your freedom will come after we free the Palestinians and destroy Israel. Well, excuse me for a second. Let me give you a little surprise news, folks. I have said this for years, and I have said that in one of my books, okay, Blood on Montenegro. And all the other my books, I have repeated that thing as a canary. All the Arabs, they didn't give it one iota. They didn't give a crap about Palestinian people or Israelis. That's all they care, to drift a mind of their people away from their government, from their corrupted government, so they can treat them and lie them and imprison them and beat them on the streets and take their civil rights, take their human rights, no press, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of the of a movement, or freedom of expression, not of any kind. Freedom of literature, freedom of the art, freedom of the theater, freedom of being a singer or anything. These people, folks, now see that they are an end of the road. Thanks to Google, thanks to Yahoo, thanks to Amazon, thanks to Barnes & Noble, Borders, thanks to all these gadgets, Facebook, thanks to Twitter, and all these other little small groups that they have connected the world, people to people, the world, people to people, ordinary people to people. So people are exchanging the views and their happiness and their sadness, and they talk about. And then as once everybody woke up and go like this, Jesus, I didn't know that. I didn't know how you live over there in that part of the world. I thought I live better than you. Or I am free as you. If you go in Saudi Arabia and you go on with your girlfriend on vacation or your boyfriend, you can't even sleep in the same freaking room in a hotel, even that you pay for. That oppressed and a backward is that freaking country. And when they come to America or they go in the Western world, they are so perverted, they are so degenerate, and they are so dishonest and pathetic that they shame Islam and Muslim faith. It's not what these people are. Please believe me. You're hearing it from the horse's mouth. Islam is not what Saudi Arabia or any of those Middle Eastern country is portraying it to be. Islam is much more than that. Or Christianity was never, in the dark ages, what leaders have portrayed it and oppressed people for their own gains for hundreds of years, or perhaps even almost 1,000 years, all the way to beginning of the 19th century. So neither Christianity, neither Islam are what the leaders of these two great religions have portrayed them to be. They have used them to enrich themselves and to enslave the masses. That's where I split from these two great religions. I worry for our world, I care for our world, and I care for our future. And a world, sadly to say, I have said the world is not better off since the Soviet Union got dismantled. We are all rooting and clapping like a seal on a San Diego Zoo, entertaining us when we go with the kids to watch them playing. The world is not safe since then, folks. There is only one superpower, that was United States, economical and military. Now, there is only one superpower militarily, but not very stable, and that's us, United States of America. Second one is Russia, that is rising again to be as was as the Soviet Union. Third one is China. She's economical power right now. She's about to surpass over the hill United States and Europe combined. When we were spending, when United States, my country, was spending on Iraq war and Afghanistan war, trillions of dollars in the last 21 years, China was building their infrastructures, their cities, their highways, their railroads, their ports, and their military. And military still, they got a long way to go, probably another 30 years. But 30 years is like 30 hours. I remember when the first time the United States companies, Target, Sam's Club, Walmart, Costco, General Motors, IBM, Intel, all the Silicon Valley companies, computers, programming companies went to China. Textile went to China. Steel went to China. General Motors, Ford went to China. The big trucking companies, they used to be in Mexico, they went to China. Folks, if you believe when a President Trump, although that I did agree on many things that he says, and I disagree on many things that he says. I have an equal balance of agreeing and disagreeing, although that's normal. But that doesn't mean that I hate him. I don't. He's still my president. We elected him, and we got to live with it. When he tells you that he's going to bring the textile and engineering and steel production and the tool production and machinery and the programming and the computer productions, folks, we have enough educated people here in the United States. Only enough educated people, and possibly not even enough of that, to do what we are doing right now. We don't have a trained people for, say, to reopen the factories that we have through South, which was textile. We don't even have enough trained people to process our tobacco, folks, to make cigarettes. Forget about it, to make the clothes. We have sweatshops all around the United States. People from India and Bangladesh and China and Philippines and El Salvador and Honduras and, you know, South American countries and Mexico, they come. But those are all mom and pop stores that you can go and fix your pants if if your trousers are not right, you know what I mean, to shorten up or longer them up. We don't even have a shoe repairs anymore. There was a shop next door to me. I want to repair to fix my shoe. Then I paid $600 a few years back, and something happened. One of the belt broke down, so I took it down to repair. Folks, I'm not making this up. The guy said, Angelo, I'm closing my store next month. You know, make sure you pick up your shoes. And I said, what do you mean you're closing? How? Why? I feel sorry that you're doing that, to hear that. He said, I have no one, I haven't trained anyone in 20 years. There is no one to train. Nobody wants to learn the trade. So that's everything else is like that. Perhaps in shoe repair, maybe no one wants to learn to repair shoes. But textile, to create it from the cotton field, from picking up the cotton to processing it, to making it in a string, and to wave it in a material so you can make a t-shirt or a short or a pair of pants. We don't have a trained people, folks. That is now left to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, and Central America, and South America. Some of the countries in South America, not all. We in the United States and Canada, if we're going to survive and if we're going to lead, we better forget about it being a low-tech producer and a consumer. We should be a high-tech nation. And that means we need to start educating and importing the brightest. Educating our own and importing the brightest also. So we can still have an advantage to be a country not just of consumption, but country of the high-tech production. If we forget to do that and we neglect that, in 25 years, we will be no better than Brazil or Argentina. Mark my word. Our government is too corrupt right now, and our government is no better than a Ukrainian government. Our Senate and our Congress have disgraced everything that our forefathers have created and done, and they have neglected and abused our Constitution, and they have sold their soul to the lobbying company and the foreign governments. And President Trump is right when he says that Joe Biden and his son needs to be investigated. Why not? Why doesn't President Trump has a right to ask for investigation, folks? Why doesn't he has a right? Why some people are offended when he says that he needs to ask, and he has the right to ask? He has a right to ask. He was elected by the people, and his responsibility is, if he feels that something is wrong and somebody's cheating and somebody is neglecting our Constitution and somebody is a threat to our national security, he should be investigated. And I don't care who's that. Is that the Congress or Senate or a man who runs for the president or president himself? But I don't see no problem with the President Trump asking the Ukrainian president. I would ask him even more straight than a president did. Listen, we are donating to your government so much money a year. and a check is on the way of $500 million, $500 million, I want you to look up on this young man. The current, his father is running for a president, but his son, how did he become to be a chairman of the board, or a trustee of the board, or a member of the board of directors, whatever his title was? The Hunter, whatever his name is, the boy, Joe Biden's son. And to get paid $50,000 a month, or maybe $100,000, where did he become qualified in such a giant company, gas company, to give advice, anything, anybody? And he's just a boy. He didn't have any experience in that such a big company. And the president is asking same thing for China. How did he be qualified? What did he do for China? I want to know too. What did this young man did for China and his father, for him to get whatever he's getting from China? I'm not going to quote nothing, but seems like he has some kind of giant business dealing with China. So questions need to be asked, and responsible people ask questions. I'm not saying that President Trump is a easygoing man. President Trump, I said that before on one of my programs, reminds me as a very unhappy coffee shop manager. I used to have in my hotel at the Aladdin, I used to have a coffee shop manager, or one of those assistant managers. No matter what the employee does, you cannot make this man happy. Or his girlfriend or his wife at home makes him unhappy, and he comes and does everything that he doesn't supposed to do. And I think this is the problem with the Donald Trump. No matter what you do, what you say, you have to be able to beat him in a punch by saying the right thing before he reminds you on it. If not, then you're screwed. In this note, I will close, and I wish you a happy day, and thank you for sharing your time with me. And I love this country, and you should do too. Be careful and be respectful to your fellow citizens.